Brittney Griner body checked Caitlin Clark twice in one game and the refs called nothing. 0 free throws for Clark, a phantom technical out of nowhere, and a Sun team getting every soft whistle they wanted. This isn't the first time either because Griner did the same thing last season and got away with it then, too. And now, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are breaking their silence on Griner, the WNBA refs, and the alleged corruption in the league. You don't want to miss this as they didn't hold back, sending the entire WNBA in a panic. Let me know down in the comments below if you stand with Caitlin and Sophie. Caitlin Clark was getting grabbed the entire game and didn't get one free throw, not one. She also got hit in the lip, had a little bloody lip going on before any of this even started, but she balled out. 25 points, 10 for 17 shooting, 53 balls. This is the best Caitlin Clark we've ever seen. Griner leans her shoulder into Clark and Clark hits the deck. No whistle, nothing. The refs just let it go like it never happened. And you have to ask, why does this keep happening to her specifically? Not to other guards, not to other stars, just to Clark. Over and over, game after game. Let's go back to how this night even started because the Fever came out rolling. Indiana built a first half that put up 70 points. Clark was slicing through the defense, everything looked easy. Shots were falling. The offense was clicking exactly how it's supposed to when nobody's grabbing and holding. For one half, basketball just looked like basketball. Gets taken out right here by a screen. Runs right into Griner's shoulder. No call. Then Griner starts doing her thing, leaning on Clark during switches, grabbing her jersey, bumping her off balance every time she comes off a screen, and the referees just watch it happen. No whistle, no foul, no warning. It's the kind of contact that would get called instantly against literally anybody else on that floor. But for some reason, when it's Griner on Clark, the whistle stays in the ref's pocket. If this feels familiar, it's because it already happened once this season. Back when Griner was still with the Atlanta Dream, she body-checked Clark in almost the exact same way, knocked her off her spot, and then reportedly screamed at her from the bench afterward. The officials in that game said nothing, called nothing, and let it slide like it was just physical basketball. So June 13th isn't a one-time thing. It's the same move from the same player with the same result. Different jersey, same silence from the referees. We have heard nothing from the WNBA. Absolutely nothing. And Brittney Griner has not commented, which I find significant. I've watched that video countless times and it sure looks like Brittney Griner says white girl. And then the technical foul happens late in the game. Clark gets called for delay of game, which turns into a technical at a moment where the game is still hanging in the balance. Think about that for a second. The refs are worried about delay of game in crunch time in a close game instead of calling the actual contact happening possession after possession. Now look at the box score because it tells the real story. 0 free throws for Clark all night. 0. A guard who gets hit, grabbed, and leaned on constantly, and the refs never once sent her to the line. Compare that to the other end of the floor where Connecticut got to shoot 19 free throws to Indiana's 9 with the Sun making 6 of them. Soft touch fouls, phantom whistles, the kind of calls that get a team into rhythm and keep their offense flowing. All while Clark's getting hammered on the other end without a single call going her way. A star player gets physically dominated on the court. The box score backs it up in black and white and the whistle just never comes. It's not one missed call. It's a pattern building across an entire game and eventually across an entire season. But here's where things turn because this is the night Clark and the Fever stop absorbing it and start responding. This isn't about waiting for the refs to fix it anymore. Indiana's about to answer with something the officials can't take away with a whistle. And it starts with Sophie Cunningham checking into the game and completely changing the temperature on that floor. That 70-point first half turns into a dogfight fast because Connecticut starts clawing back possession by possession and the Fever lead that looked untouchable in the second quarter is suddenly down to single digits. The crowd gets loud, but not in a good way. And Fever fans watching at home know that feeling in their stomach. The one where you've seen this movie before and it doesn't end well. Indiana's blown big leads this season already. So when Connecticut starts chipping away, everybody's bracing for the same collapse all over again. And that's when the Sophie Cunningham question comes back up because she'd been missing from the last game against Chicago with what the team called a sore right elbow. Officially, that's the story. An elbow injury. Nothing more to see here. But the timing feels strange because this comes right after Cunningham reportedly went off the design play during Clark's game-winning shot against Washington, running her own route instead of the one Stephanie White drew up. Nobody's confirmed that's why she sat, and nobody's denied it either. So you're left with two versions. Either Cunningham's elbow really was too sore to play, or Stephanie White benched her for freelancing on the biggest shot of the game. Nobody in the organization is saying it straight. And that gap between the official story and the timing is exactly what gets people talking. Benched or banged up? Take your pick, because the Fever aren't clearing it up anytime soon. Whatever the real reason, Cunningham's back on the floor for the fourth quarter of this game, and something about her looks different the second she checks in. Her body language isn't cautious or rusty like you'd expect from someone nursing an elbow. She's got this look in her eyes like she's been sitting on something for 2 weeks and she's ready to let it out on the Connecticut sun. Then the run happens. Cunningham drills a three, comes right back down and drills another one. And then a third three-pointer in a row before finishing it off with a layup through contact. 11 points, 11 in under 2 minutes, and every single one of them unassisted. Meaning she's creating this offense herself with no help. Connecticut's whole momentum, everything they'd built clawing back into the game, just dies right there on the floor. Think about what that means against a defense that had spent the entire third quarter grabbing, leaning, and hacking without the refs blowing a whistle. Cunningham doesn't need a call to bail her out. She just goes and gets her own points. Quick, clean. No argument possible, because a three-pointer doesn't need a referee's permission. Pitches it to Boston. They go back to Cunningham. This time she takes it all the way around. 30 seconds to go. This Fever team showing poise down the stretch. Clark draws the double team like she always does. Kicks it to Boston in the post, and Boston finds Cunningham wide open on the weak side for those threes. That's Indiana's whole offense working exactly how it's designed. Clark bending the defense, Boston reading it, and Cunningham finishing it. And this is going to be the balance for the Sun team, because you look at the pieces. They have very good defenders, and they're going to want to do their best to create some turnovers here. Cunningham steps up to the microphone. Still breathing hard from that fourth quarter run, and what comes out of her mouth has nothing to do with threes or box scores. A reporter asks her to explain her thinking on protecting young girls in sports, and she doesn't hesitate for a second. She just answers it straight, like she's been waiting for someone to ask. Here's exactly what she said. I mean, I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children. And that's, little girls who are also involved in that category. And so, I stand on what I said, and, I'll always believe that. That's it. No hedging, no walking it back. She frames the whole thing around fairness and safety, tying it back to the basic idea behind Title IX, that girls deserve their own category to compete in without worrying about who they're lined up against. I mean, I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children. And that's, little girls, who are also involved in that category. And so, I stand on what I said, and, I always believe that. The clip spreads fast. Within hours, it's everywhere. Other players are weighing in. Fans are clipping it and reposting it, and national outlets pick it up almost immediately. ESPN runs a piece on her stance. The LA Times covers it. Even papers overseas like the Manila Times pick up the story. That's not a normal news cycle for a post-game quote. That's a basketball player's opinion turning into a story that spreads way past the sports section within a single news cycle. And here's what everybody watching already connects in their head. Cunningham never says Gurrier's name. Not once, not in the clip, not anywhere. But think about the timing. This comes right after a game where Gurrier physically dominated Clark on the floor. Body checks, grabbing, 0 free throws for Clark despite constant contact, and the whole thing left completely uncalled by the referees. So when Cunningham starts talking about protecting girls and drawing a line on fairness, right after that specific game against that specific opponent, people don't need her to spell it out. Online, folks start using phrases like exposing Gurrier and vanquishing her. Like Cunningham finally said out loud what a lot of people had been thinking quietly for a long time. I don't dislike anyone. Like I think there is room for absolutely everyone here, and I think there's room to love everyone. And I truly think when you get people in the same room and you have conversations, you actually have a lot in common with a lot in common with a lot of people. And so, I'm there to love, but I'm also there to love biological women. And I think that there are rights that need to be protected. And like I said, I'm going to stand true to that. I think there's space for everyone. Now, this isn't landing clean for everybody because this isn't a story with one side. Cunningham's getting real pushback, too. Plenty of people online pushing back hard, calling her comments out of line or unnecessary. It's turned into an actual fight with people picking sides fast and loud, and Cunningham stuck right in the middle of it. Whether she wants to be there or not, what's wild is how far this travels beyond basketball. This isn't just a WNBA story anymore. It's ESPN, it's national news outlets. It's even reaching the political conversation. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt actually addressed it directly, calling the backlash against Cunningham astonishing and ludicrous and saying President Trump shares her views on this, calling it an 2020 issue built on common sense and basic biological fact. That's a WNBA postgame quote reaching the White House press briefing room. Even the Fever organization put out a statement saying their players are thoughtful adults with their own perspectives and voices, and that those views belong to the players themselves. You know, going to be some negative comments, but there's also a whole bunch of positive comments too that no one really ever, people hate positivity for some reason. I have no idea why, but there's a lot of positive comments too when it comes to that. And so, it is what it is. Like I said, we're all human. We're all, no one's perfect here. And so I really don't care what other people have to say. I know who I am. My people know who I am. And hopefully I'm doing them proud and making room for young boys and girls in our world to have a better future than we did. Technical, I didn't need an explanation. I deserved it, but it was worth it. The delay of game made no sense. It felt like Tyler wanted to assert himself into the game, and that was ridiculous. So that's just not a point in the game he needed to call that. I went and got the ball, went off my foot off the scores table, and then he gave us a delay game, which is a team technical foul. So you can ask Tyler. I don't agree with that. Here's exactly what she said. The delay of game made no sense. It felt like Tyler wanted to assert himself into the game, and that was ridiculous. So that's just not a point in the game he needed to call that. She's talking about referee Tyler Merkovich by name out loud in front of every camera in the room. No vague comment about the officials. No hiding behind a generic complaint. She names him directly. What she means by that is simple once you break it down. The whole situation started because Clark accidentally kicked the ball off the scorer's table while trying to grab it back during a dead moment in the game. That's it. Nothing dramatic, just a loose ball skidding somewhere it shouldn't. But instead of letting it go, Mirovic calls delay of game, which turns into a technical against Clark late in a tight fourth quarter. In Clark's eyes, that's a referee choosing to make himself part of the story instead of just calling the game and staying out of the way. Also, Caitlin Clark had to come at the coach. Said he was chirping all night. Clark's clear that the Fever still won the game. So, in the end, it didn't change the result, but she's just as clear that the technical never should have happened in the first place, especially at that point in the night with the score still tight and the game still hanging on every possession. Then, Clark takes it further past just the one call and starts talking about the officiating problem across the whole league. She's not just frustrated about one delay of game call on one night. She's pointing at a pattern that's been building all season. Refs inserting themselves into moments they don't need to be part of. Changing the rhythm of games with calls that don't need to be made. 19 free throw attempts for Connecticut compared to 9 for Indiana. A pattern fans have been screaming about for most of the season. And now their franchise player is saying it out loud by name on camera. This isn't one player venting about a bad call and moving on. This is the team captain on camera naming an official directly and the head coach backing her up in the same breath. A night that started with Clark getting hit and ignored by the refs ends with her walking out of that arena with a win on the board and the loudest voice in the entire room. Strip away the technical fouls and the missing whistles. And what's left is a team that got hit all night and still walked out with the win. That's not luck. That's a team building the habit of winning ugly. Clark's chasing MVP ORM. Cunningham's locked in as the perfect piece next to her. Boston's anchoring the paint every single night. The league can keep looking away from the whistle problem. Indiana's making them pay on the scoreboard instead. Let me know down in the comments below if you stand with Caitlin and Sophie. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications as we're bringing you all the action and top stories. Click the video on the screen and we'll see you in the next.